No sound.
Yeah, very good morning, afternoon or evening, everyone. Very happy actually to have all of you joining us for the SME Banking Awards 2021. Some of you might be asking why actually we have the awards in 2022 still about the year that was still full of COVID actually in all the global world. But the thing is that we're trying, to have a look at all the projects, insights, and everything what banks have been doing within the last 2 years to evaluate and to announce probably the best ones that did their job to support SME clients in the year 2021. We are here actually in the virtual ceremony organized by AFMA this year, as I mentioned already, second edition. And we have prepared for you not just the announcement of the top 3 finalists and the winners in the 2 categories, but at the same time, some of the very interesting insights that we believe might be of a great help for your daily job. And at the same time, some inspiration on how to progress in your value proposition for SME clients. Before we start and go straight to the awards, let me kindly welcome and introduce our CEO, John Berry, who would like to share with you a couple of thoughts about the latest development, insights, and what we have done as well as an organization in the center of the whole banking and financial institution sector. So John, passing over to you.
Lukasz, thank you very much indeed. Well, welcome everybody. Delighted that you're able to join us for these really key awards in an area which is so important, not only to you as individuals, but to many countries, banks, governments around the globe, where SMEs drive so much of the economic activity. The last 2 years have been remarkably challenging for many organizations, but SMEs in particular have really had a tough time. And I think if we wind the clock back a couple of years, that's when we as AFMA started with our SME community. And during that period of time, it has really grown into a really strong global community of SME specialists sharing on a regular basis the insights and the challenges that they face on a day-to-day basis. AFMA during that period of time has been undertaking some significant strategic changes. More of that will come forward later this year as we announce some of our further changes. But a lot of our change has been to build our activity around communities. SME was our first one, and it's been hugely successful under the leadership of Lukasz. I think what is really sort of superb is the ability to recognize not only the banks that have done exceptionally well, but also the individuals that have been contributing throughout that period of time. AFMA is all about trying to share best practice, about bringing together best case scenarios, best case studies that people can learn from. And it's that environment that has been the fundamental underpinning of the SME community success. So we'll have more communities we will launch during this year, but the SME one has been our flagship event right from the very beginning. Here we are in the second awards arena, looking at what the successes were for last year. And I'm delighted that there are so many people signing up from across the globe, not only to contribute, but to listen to some of the insights that we're able to share today. So hopefully you get an opportunity to take away some good learnings. Some of you will take away the prizes and the virtual cups that we're awarding. So congratulations to all of those who've been partaking in this activity in the last few weeks and months. Really pleased also with the number of people who've voted as well. Huge number of people have voted for those people who are the winners. So they should feel extremely proud that it's their colleagues that have actually put themselves out to see and recognize the excellent work they have undertaken. So I think probably enough from me at this stage. I'll hand you back to Lukasz, who will now take you through the day itself in terms of the activity and the award ceremony itself. So good luck to all those that are in with a chance, and look forward to speaking to the winners in the not too distant future. Thank you.
Thank you so much, John, for joining us as well, at least for the introduction. There are very much, exciting right now journey in front of us for the upcoming period of time. And we hope, that during the upcoming events, we'll have the chance probably to share still more and more of what EFMA is going to do and what EFMA has prepared. As John mentioned, we are running SME banking community already for 2 years, and we'll share with you a couple of numbers later on. But before that, let me share with you what's the plan for the upcoming 90 or 100 minutes that we want to bring to you. So after the welcome words that we just shared, we will have a short customer insights from RFI Global to have a look on how COVID-19 changed the behavior of your SME customers, because we have an institution right now who would like to share with you some of the feelings from directly the clients and the approach that many of the organization has taken to help them pass the pandemic, and at the same time, to survive at the market to bring their different types of digital value for the customers. Then we'll cover the first category, SME Banker of the Year, which will go, straightforward, awarding the bronze, silver, and the gold winner. After the presentation of Validus, which is one of the probably the most progressive growing fintech and neobank in Asia, and some of their insights on how they were able actually to succeed with the value proposition for their SME clients within 2020 and 2021. We'll have the second category on SME Bank of the Year, where we would like to have a look at the institution who has proved to be the key partner for the organizations which operates as a small or medium type of enterprises in the global segment. And the last but not least, we have invited a couple of the jury members who were the key decision makers about all the winners today to share some of the highlights of 2021 awards and some of the probably best approaches that they have noticed while evaluating all the nominee profiles and all the submissions that we have received. So now, without any further ado, let me introduce our first, or I would say already a second speaker, to present some of the customer insights from SME segment, who is going to be Amit Khan, Global Head of SME and Commercial Banking on behalf of RFI Global. So Amit, I hope we have you on the call, and we look forward to have some of the customer insights on what's been their behavior before, during, and after, and especially the expectations towards the banks that are offering the services to the SME clients.
Thank you very much. I am here, and hopefully you can all hear me. I will move over to share my presentation for today. So thank you for the introduction. As mentioned, today's presentation is centered on customer behavior and what's changed due to the COVID-19 pandemic. So we'll be sharing with you some insights based on what we've seen as we speak to customers about their banking behavior, both pre-pandemic and post-pandemic. Just a very quick view in terms of RFI Global and what we do. We are a global business insights provider that works exclusively with financial services. And we survey customers, both consumer and business banking customers, across multiple markets. In fact, we operate in 48 different markets in terms of our surveys. The insights you will see today are very much the direct voice of the customer. So they're telling us about their banking behaviors, what's changed, what they like, what they prefer, and we're drawing our insights direct from that customer insights. In fact, we do up to 50,000 interviews of customers globally, and we speak to SMEs in these various markets. And in terms of the SMEs we're speaking to and the insights we're showing today, they're in that sort of 0 to 10 million USD revenue space, annual revenue of 0 to 10 million. That's the space we're looking at in terms of the definition. We'll share with you the insights from a few markets. There's more markets available should you wish to see further insights from our side. In terms of the agenda, the three kind of key areas we will cover off today. First view around what's changed in terms of business banking channel usage and their preferences there. The second one around businesses' preferences when it comes to sustainability and what role it plays in terms of business banking choice. Is it an important factor? Is that changing or not? And then the last piece here in terms of supply chain challenges. What is changing there? How much of a challenge is it? And what does it mean from an international banking requirements perspective? Those are the three key areas that we'll touch upon in today's presentation. So without further ado, jumping straight into the slides for today, starting off with a perspective around channel usage. And the data we're showing you here is across multiple markets, and this is all SMEs telling us about their channel preferences. Now, of course, we've got historic data to start off with, which looks at pre-pandemic, what was the most preferred channel for business banking for SMEs around these markets. And we can see digital was already prominent, so internet banking, to a lesser extent, mobile banking in terms of the most preferred channel. Now, what's happened post-COVID is really a trend that's been expedited towards digital, more so towards digital. So that's kind of the broad trend. But if you look at the nuance with regard to internet banking versus mobile banking, what is interesting is that in many cases, the greater increase in preference has been for mobile banking. So we are starting to see that shift towards perhaps a mobile-first preference in many markets, particularly markets like China, where we've already got a greater preference for mobile banking when it comes to doing business banking. So this will shape how banks kind of shape their propositions and financial services institutions in general, how much focus you end up putting on mobile banking and digital banking more broadly as well. Now, of course, the detail here in terms of what the customers actually want, there's been some shifts here as well. I think broadly speaking, there's a greater desire to do things more easily. So the ease of use, functionality element of digital banking is certainly increased in terms of importance. So the way we look at this at RFI is we correlate up the various factors that are important to customers and see how relatively important it is to overall happiness with their businesses' digital banking. And you can see kind of three core themes that have really gained in importance across multiple markets. So ease of login experience has increased in importance in multiple markets. Speed of conducting tasks has also increased. And then reliability as well, also seeing some substantial increases, again, across multiple markets. New channels of engagement are also gaining traction. Of course, this is no surprise given all the day-to-day interaction with things like video chat, for example. 30% of businesses globally said they've used video conferencing to interact with a service provider. 40% have used live chat with a member of staff. So I think the main thing here is that there's a greater preference for ease of use, being able to do things quickly and easily, but also broadening out in terms of the types of channels they're engaging with as businesses and what they want to do in terms of their banking behaviors. Now, of course, this leads into a greater degree of openness, we think, in terms of preference or appetite to use digital-only providers. So this data here, again from RFI, looks at percentage of SMEs across these markets that are open to using a fintech lender. And in fact, you can see some variety here across the various markets. So very high preference rates in markets like India, for example, 46% open to using a fintech lender, 38% in Australia. We know that there's quite a degree of prevalence for alternative lenders in the Australian market. Hong Kong, with the entry of virtual banks, certainly driving more appetite there for digital-only players. Singapore with virtual banks entering very soon. And there's slightly lower numbers here in terms of mainland China, the UK. What is also interesting is to look at the reasons behind choosing a fintech provider for businesses. And you can see here there's some disparity across the markets. Typically, in markets like Hong Kong and Singapore, very price-driven. Of course, in Hong Kong, we have seen a lot of price competition from some of the virtual banks that have entered that market. So top reasons tend to be centered around saving business money. There's lower initial costs, so business received some sort of benefit or bonus. Versus markets like the UK and Canada, where more of the CX or customer experience, the customer service elements are more important. And I think it will be very interesting to see these drivers shift over time, because once the fintechs start to gain customers based on great experience, then that opens the scope for more loyalty and deeper relationships with these customers as well. So the UK and Canada, you see top reasons tend to be around easier to use, better advice, better service, application process was simpler. So something very much to monitor going forward in terms of how much traction the fintech providers are gaining in the various markets and the reasons behind choosing a fintech provider. Now, in terms of the forward-looking perspective, we also speak to customers about their perspective on various elements of their banking relationship, and particularly around digital and digital interactions they do have. Now, this is the percentage of customers that agree or strongly agree with these statements, and you can see some interesting dynamics here. The first one with the highest level of agreement, 67% or just over 2/3 saying that AI chatbots will never replace humans. So there's still an underlying need for that human touch that is prevalent amongst these businesses and business owners. I want more learning resources on online banking. I think we have seen a lot of emphasis from a variety of banks. There's plenty of case studies out there of banks focusing on educating their customers around online banking, digitization of their business, as well as they shift their channel of operation to online as well. Branches allow my business to negotiate a better deal. I think there's this underlying thought process that you can get a better deal if you speak to a real person. So for banks and financial institutions, really thinking about how do you meet these underlying requirements. Perhaps it's through digital channels still. Perhaps it's through things like live chat or automated pricing tools, for example, to make sure the customer feels like they're getting a better deal if they're interacting through the digital channels. And concerns around cybersecurity still lingering there in the market. 35% around the globe saying they've got substantial concerns around cybersecurity. So still maintaining the emphasis on security, I think, is going to be a critical part of a trusted relationship between a business customer and their bank or financial institution. Now, moving on into the second topic around sustainability, RFI does track some insights around what role does sustainability play in driving, in this case, choice of a bank across multiple markets. The first element of this is how important is sustainability to the business when they choose a bank? And this is the left bars here, and you can see not that high, right? You can see that in terms of ranking, sustainability still not gaining much traction. It's the 10th highest in mainland China, 16th in India, 16th in Canada. But when we flip that question around and ask, what are the reasons you would avoid a bank or a brand, and list choose the top factors, you do see that sustainability is actually one of the top reasons for avoiding a bank. So across the markets, it's amongst the top 3 factors. In fact, interestingly, very high in some of the Asian markets, which suggests that if you don't build sustainability credentials now, and that's not prominent enough, you won't even get into the customer's consideration set and really just be taken out of that conversion funnel. So really, really important point there. Now, sticking with that theme around sustainability, we'll also ask businesses a question around prospective desire to take out sustainable finance products in the next 12 months. And here we're talking about green loans, sustainability-linked loans, and to a degree, green tailored deposits as well. Now, it's hard to compare across markets because propensity and responses tend to vary across markets, depending on which market we're speaking to. But this does give you a bit of a gauge in terms of the level of appetite in markets like the UK and Canada. 1 in 10 in Hong Kong is about 1 in 10. It's slightly higher in Singapore, and interestingly, quite high demand there in markets like China and in India. Perhaps we can't quite compare across the markets as a like for like there, but it gives you a bit of an indication of the level of demand that's there. What is also interesting on the right-hand side is linking sustainability with some tangible banking metrics. So in this case, we're looking at NPS. So does being considered a leader in sustainability as a bank lead to those customers on average giving high NPS scores? And the overall conclusion based on our analysis is yes, but not in every single market that we look at here. In this case, we're just looked at 4 different markets. So certainly in Canada and in Singapore, you can see the substantial impact here, almost double the impact. If you're not a leader in sustainability or perceived as a leader in sustainability, half the NPS on average, versus markets like India and China, where the impact is not quite as great. So these markets are at various stages in terms of the macro picture, or the level of emphasis on sustainability. But I think we can take some lead from markets like Singapore and Canada to see what sort of impact it's likely to have going forward. Perhaps it will translate into a similar impact in markets like China and India going forward. And then finally, to wrap things up here, looking very quickly at supply chain challenges for businesses. How important is it, and what's actually changing, and what can banks and financial services providers do in this space? Now, we ask SMEs around the globe, around various markets, how important or how prominent have supply chain challenges been? How challenging have they been? Where do they rank amongst your other issues? Relatively high is what I would say in terms of the latest data that we do have. Up to 5th in China, for example, a little bit lower in the other markets. But it is starting to lead to SMEs shifting their linkages with other markets. On the right-hand side here, percentage of SMEs here that have linkages with various markets. And we're looking at UK, Singapore, and China. And we can see that 2019 versus 2021, there are some changes in terms of linkages with various markets. So UK feeling some of the impact of Brexit, Singapore tying more so with mainland China and Hong Kong, and then China itself increasing integration with Hong Kong. You can see that here as being more prominent, and perhaps reducing some of those linkages like Korea and, of course, the United States as well. So what does this mean from a banking perspective? Well, we've seen data that shows that your businesses are interested in getting more advice and really understanding how they can navigate. Perhaps if they are moving to new markets or operating with new markets, does the bank have a presence there? What sort of advice can you provide in order for them to understand those new operating dynamics that are coming about as a result of the current economic climate? So to leave you with 3 key takeaways, I always say leave the presentation with 3 key takeaways. The first one around channel usage. We are seeing a shift to digital, which means the nature of trust in financial institutions is changing. More comfort with using a digital-only player, which should help the way to pave the way to drive more fintech adoption. But we still see the need for security and human touch lingers on in terms of what customers and businesses are looking for. Sustainability as a factor in brand choice, in this case, brand avoidance, is rising in prominence, but does differ by markets. And of course, we saw linkage with NPS is certainly there, but perhaps not quite to the same degree in all markets. And then finally, as we saw, supply chain challenges and issues, certainly a factor, but it is leading to shifting international corridors for businesses, and they are looking to banks and financial institutions for more advice in order to navigate those changing circumstances. That wraps up my presentation. Please feel free to send through any questions, and I might just leave it there and pass it on. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Amit, for a wonderful insights, especially about the expectations and the change in the behavior from SMEs. In your words, I'm not sure, you're based in Singapore, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So in your own words, what's your feeling, overall feeling on the support that banks were trying to do within 2020 and 2021 to SMEs? What would you highlight?
Yeah, it's a very good question. I think we've certainly seen the desire is there from businesses in terms of our data that they do need more support, particularly international businesses with more complex requirements. But when we look at things like banking relationship pain points for SMEs, there's usually a few key themes that come up. Access to financing is always one of them. Access to advice or sector experts is the other key pain point. So it remains an underserved area in multiple markets, particularly for the smaller end of town that we're looking at here. Larger businesses obviously get access to those things, but smaller businesses find challenges in those 2 areas So certainly more that can be done there in terms of supporting them.
Thank you so much, Amit, for joining us as well today and sharing some of the insights. We look forward to have you as well on some of the other occasions. Today, as we mentioned, we are here to award probably the best banks and individuals within the SME banking space within the last year. And before that, let me very shortly actually mention on how this project all started. We started with SME banking community, as John mentioned, about 2 years ago, and expanded it into a whole strategy around EFMA communities, which we believe will essentially become the first choice place for global banking executives to monitor news, trends, gain inspiration, insights, and obviously, later on to have a chance to network, to meet their peers, either via online events or at the same time via one-to-one connections, to exchange best practices, and somehow find the last piece of puzzle that they are missing in their value proposition for the SME clients. We hope that with the pillars that we have there on providing content and insights, having regular events for the community to join, dedicated awards to recognize and reward for the best institution that they believe in the market and set the benchmark in the global banking industry, and allow all the members to collaborate in between each other, we can reach actually this goal that we have set here. So a couple of the numbers, what we have achieved in SME banking within the last 2 years. In 2021, we've produced or organized more than 10 online events on different types of topics, as you can imagine, starting from sustainable finance in SME all the way to agricultural banking. We produced 4 reports, dedicated ones only for EFMA and community members here. We had interview series, which each of them actually covered more than 6 or up to 10 different interviewees across the world, on having their point of view on what was their immediate support to SMEs, or what was their strategy and the plans for the upcoming period of time. And it all ended up with the numbers you can see in right front of you. So more than 140 members are engaged right now very actively in the community, coming from more than 65 institutions, and as we can proudly say, we are global because it represents, as you see, the whole region of the world. Before we jump on the first category, the last message probably that we want to share with you is our annual EFMA Accenture Innovation in Banking Awards, which is happening every year, even though during the pandemic we have them online. In 2021, we have received more than 20,000 online votes, and since 2013, when we started this project, already 1,900 participating institutions joined these awards. And we encourage not just all the institutions that are at the moment here among the nominees or were submitting their projects for SME banking awards to join, but at the same time with any projects or anything that you believe deserve the presentation and deserve actually the marketing to be there, we really encourage you to have a look at innovationinbanking.efma.com. Now, without any further ado, let's go to the first category, as we mentioned in the beginning, because I'm sure that all our nominees are already waiting for seeing the results of 2021 edition. Just to recap, we are having 2 categories, as been mentioned, the SME Banker and the SME Bank of the Year. In total, we received, or we have selected 14 nominees together in both categories. We've selected out of these 6 winners. Now, to do the whole process, from submission all the way to selecting the winners, you see the below how it all started and what was the process since July 2021. We had involved more than 6,000 online voters and 13 jury members. These were the people of jury members who found the time, dedicated their effort to evaluate each and every of the application that we had among the nominees. So they deserve a huge thank you. And at the same time, I hope that they were able to learn something new for themselves from the nominees' profiles that we received. And as I mentioned, let's go straight to the first category, which is the SME Banker of the Year Award. Now, we have selected for 2021 6 nominees, as you can see in front of you. Simon Cooper, Head of Business Clients from Standard Bank South Africa. Jack de Moy, Head of SME Rabobank Netherlands. Ernest Kwong, Group Chief SME Banking Officer from Alliance Bank Malaysia. JP Soliman, who is Vice President SME and Micropreneurs Segment Head of Union Bank of the Philippines. Sophie Larsson, Nordic Head, Corporate Segment SME and Mid-Corp Swedbank Sweden. And Jesse Weinberg, Head of SME Segment, First FNB South Africa. Now, without any further ado, let's go to the Bronze Award winner of 2021 edition of EFMA SME Banking Award. And the Bronze Award goes to Jesse Weinberg from FNB South Africa. Jesse, I hope that we have a chance to have you online. Hi, Jesse. Happy to see you. I see that video is working well for you. So congrats once again, for being awarded as the Bronze Award winner in the SME Banker category. Anything you want to share with the audience? Any, the first words that came to your mind?
Yeah, so thanks very much, Lucas. Obviously a big thank you for everybody that voted and to the jury members. I think I'm super delighted to be awarded in the top 3 and with the bronze. And I think it was a great process. I really actually enjoyed going through the whole process from being nominated to to the interview, the application. I think it was really awesome to be a privilege to be able to go through it. So huge thank you, and thanks for everything that EFMA is doing. I think it's a wonderful organization, and that you guys are doing a really good job for SME banking around the world. So thank you very much, and hugely grateful and humbled by the award. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Jesse, for having you with us. We are very thrilled actually to have you, not just among the nominees, but as well among the winners, because FNB was doing a tremendous job for the SMEs within the last 2 years. How would you, probably from your perspective, how would you describe the differences that had happened within the last 2 years in the importance and the essential support from banks towards the SMEs?
Yes, I think we even still can't say enough, because I think we're only starting to see some of the results of us having to lean in and help much more with SMEs. But I think from what I can say is that certainly banks have really around the world, from what I can see, certainly have stepped up and played a very key role in the lives of SMEs. Everything right through from transactional payment abilities in this time of a virus being around, just moving towards contactless types of payments, fast tracking seeing cash diminish and more electronic payments, e-commerce facilitating unprecedented levels of e-commerce transactions around the world, and the systems behind that which make it possible, and actually then affording SMEs the opportunity to be part of these e-commerce transactions. On the lending side, so obviously all of a sudden many SMEs finding themselves in a situation where they now have to still pay bills, and they don't have much revenue coming in. So depending on what sector they were in, banks coming together to provide support in terms of either government-backed funding, deploying that funding, or partnering with private sector to see how other areas of funding can come through. And even just from a normal payment replanning and cash flow relief side of things, of actually working with SMEs to help them restructure loans, or to just provide them relief and restructure repayment plans. So I think the list goes on, and I think that banks really more than ever have shown that they are a critical pillar of society and commerce, and apart from just being enablers of commerce, and also being obviously from a growth point of view, or from a recovery point of view. So in good times, banks have been there to obviously lend for growth, and in times like these last 2 years, finding ways to obviously be involved for recovery. And I think what's just also fantastic to see is also the role that SMEs have started to play in smaller communities. So I think it's certainly been massive changes, e-commerce, lending, fintech's also in the equation, and I think we're seeing a lot of change that maybe would have taken 10 years, or even realistically 5 to 7 years to happen. And because of these last 2 years, it's fast-tracked that by, half the time, if that, even more. So I think it's been also a good time in a weird way for banks and for the customer as well, because many things that banks wanted to do over a longer period of time, they actually were forced to do it almost with, overnight sometimes. So yeah, really
Yeah, so
interesting.
congrats. Yeah, congrats once again. Thank you so much for sharing, a couple of the insights. We look forward actually to have you engaged in some of the further activities. So this is just a virtual, congrats, but you will obviously, receive your trophy via post, and hopefully, in the years to come or in the very soon period of time, we'll have a chance to meet each other in person in some of the our physical events that we are already planning to do in 2022. Congrats once again, Jesse. Thank you for joining us. Let's go to the yeah, thank you. Let's go to the Silver Award winner in 2021 SME Banking Awards in the category of SME Banker. And the Silver Award goes to Jack Demoy, who is head of SME of Rabobank. Jack, congrats. And I guess we have to have you online. So, Jack, welcome. Happy to have you.
Thank you, Lucas. Thank you. Nice to be here. And happy, and of course honored with the beautiful award. So thank you very much for that. Well, Lucas have also asked me to say thank you. Well, I think first I want to say it's not about bankers. This conversation. It's nice that SME bankers are nominated, but of course it's about the SME customers themselves. And I think they've been through unprecedented times with COVID-19, and it's always beautiful to see the flexibility and the energy of SMEs turning their business plans around and go on and go forward. So a big thank you, first of all, to the SME companies. Secondly, a big thank you to my employer, Rabobank in the Netherlands. I think we are a big bank and a big incumbent bank, but we are a very innovative bank and trying to build our propositions even better than they were in the past. And I think it's a very nice time to be an SME banker at this time. It's very let's say it, SME banking is hot, and I'm sure that a lot of SME bankers around the globe can confirm that SME banking is hot. So it's really nice to be in an environment where a lot of changes are happening. That's what I think about cooperation with fintechs, about banking as a service, discussions on banking as a platform, embedded lending or not. Should we buy or build our new propositions? And I think that the solution is not there yet. I think we should really try to find ways to serve our customers better, also in cooperation with other parties and fintechs and partners. And we are working a lot on that as a big incumbent Rabobank. So that's really nice. And I think finally, I want to thank EFMA for the opportunity to share our best practices and ideas in this great community. I think it's really nice. And that also the presentation of Amit shows us that it's really, that SME needs are really universal and are quite similar around the globe. So it's very nice to learn from each other, from other countries, on how they serve their SME companies and build their propositions around the SME customer needs. And actually that's in the middle also of the vision and mission of the Rabobank. We want to help SMEs to grow their business in a sustainable way. So I think that applies to many banks around the globe. So let's try to help the SMEs around the globe as much as possible with beautiful digital combined with human propositions to help them do their thing and to help them to grow the economy in the countries where they are operative in. So a big thank you to all of you, and a big thank you to EFMA for organizing this.
Congrats, Jack. Thank you so much. We are very happy actually to have you as well, engaged in all the activities, and at the same time, being here among the nominees and among the finalists and winners of 2021 award. Well deserved.
Thank you, Lucas.
Let's go to the gold winner in the SME Banker category for 2021. And the gold award winner for this year, we are coming back actually to the South Africa, because the gold winner is Simon Cooper, head of business clients South Africa at Standard Bank South Africa. Simon, congrats.
Thanks very much, Lucas. It's a real honor to be here this afternoon. So thank you very much. Firstly, just a very big congratulations to all of the nominees and all of the winners today. I think very well deserved, very humbled to be in such great company. So congratulations. Then to Lucas, to you and your team from the EFMA side, thank you very much for everything that you do, particularly in the SME community. It's fantastic, and hopefully going into this year, we'll be able to have some more face-to-face events. But I think it's a fantastic initiative, and just thank you very much to everybody. And then finally, I think I sit here as Simone. However, I represent a team at Standard Bank. So this award is not for me. This award is for the team at Standard Bank, who over the past sort of 18 to 20 months, particularly during the COVID times, have gone above and beyond. Standard Bank's purpose is Africa is our home and we drive our growth. And particularly over these past 20 months, I believe that the team has really taken this to heart and has lived and breathed this in everything that we do for our clients. I think they've been there. We've tried to help clients as much as we could during this period. And I think also come up with some really innovative, interesting solutions over the time, and pushing ourselves to really put ourselves in the sort of the SME shoes and understand what they go through. I think the big thing that we acknowledge is that SMEs are so key critical to the communities in which they operate in. They employ many people in those communities, and particularly in a continent like Africa and South Africa where we operate, obviously SMEs are key critical to growth of the economy. And so I'm very pleased and grateful to be able to be part of the SME team at Standard Bank, and the business team at Standard Bank, and to be able to support SMEs. And I think, as was said by the previous winners, a big thank you also to SMEs. I think that, as I've said previously, I think the hardest job in the world is being an SME. So it's a real privilege to be able to serve SMEs and to be able to work with them every day. But thank you very much.
Congrats once again, Simon. Just a quick question, because this happened actually last year at the same time. When we were launching or doing many activities for the SME bankers globally, I had a feeling that it's more the domain of a man, being the SME banker. But last year actually was the proof. Even in the SME banker category, we had two excellent as well candidates as well this year, and Laurie Darlington was the winner from Royal Bank of Canada. So what's your feeling that you personally or in general, women can bring to business banking?
Lucas, I think what's important about any team, from a business banking perspective, from an SME perspective, is diversity. So I think that it's important that you've got men and women alike who can think through problems, people from different backgrounds, different experiences in life. So I think that that's always important, and how you harness that diversity and bring that diversity together is the most important piece. I'm pleased to say that we have many women at Standard Bank in our business and commercial banking, and that is something that we are continuing to build and to grow on. And I think it's an area that is not specifically dominated by men. There's a number of women who in this environment, but I think, as I said, the diversity is the most important piece as part of a team, and having people think through all of these things and how do you actually bring the best to an SME.
Thank you so much. We have answered, the question, who run the world right now. Congrats once again, Simon, to you and to all the winners in the SME banker category for the 2021. Well deserved.
Thank you, Lucas.
And apart just, the three winners that we have here, I encourage, all of you who joined us actually today to once again, have a look at all the nominees. Because in 2021 and even in, the year before, we had an outstanding individuals who shared their stories on how they joined the SME banking, why they decided, to be directly there, and what's their immediate help for SMEs, not just as a personalities, but how they are, driving the change internally in the organization. Now, we are just, at the end of the first category, but not the end of the event yet. We are actually going right now to one of the case study insights, or probably, we can call it the keynote speech of this ceremony, of this event. And we have actually invited a special guest, Vikas Nahata, who is a co-founder and executive chairman from Validus in Singapore. We had the chance already to have Amit from Singapore, so very pleased actually to prove, that AFMA is not just an organization based in Europe, but we have, the ability to engage the institution all over the places. So Vikas, Very pleased to have some of your insights on how Validus has made and changed, this opportunity of micro and small enterprises, the 300 billion growth opportunity into the business within the last couple of years. The word or the floor is yours.
Thanks, Lucas. It's a pleasure to be presenting to everyone here. Congratulations to all the winners, all the nominees. Yeah, I think it's been incredible, for everybody last year, the way we have all stepped up across the globe to help the small and medium businesses, in the regions where we are, in the countries where we perform. And I'm here to share a little bit about, what Validus has been doing in Southeast Asia, and why we think that this $300 billion growth opportunity is actually pretty incredible, and something where Validus is playing a huge role along with the banks and all the collaborations that we work with. So without further ado, what I will do is I'll share a little bit about Validus first. We're a digital SME financing platform. We're not a bank. We're actually launching a neobank, but we're not a bank yet. And what we do is we stand for, just like all of the SME bankers that are present here, and what Amit shared and what Simone shared, we stand for the micro and small enterprises. We've dispersed over $1 billion in the last couple of years. We've done over 50,000 loans in 4 countries where we are present and licensed, which is Singapore, Indonesia, Vietnam, and Thailand, with 90% repeat rates from customers and SMEs who love coming back to establish growth financing through our platform. We've also won a fair share of awards. The biggest one was the Monetary Authority of Singapore FinTech Award, where we were awarded the most innovative Singapore financial institution. And that was a bit of a testament to all the hard work that everybody at Team One Validus has put in. Where do we see the opportunities? So, of course, you have this huge opportunity across the globe. But if you specifically look at 4 countries, and I'm happy to share insights on these 4, we feel that this particular gap is actually $300 billion. And a majority of that, no surprise, comes from Indonesia, which is one of the larger countries in the region. But a significant amount is also in Thailand and Vietnam. Singapore is obviously there. It's 25 billion, but it's comparatively smaller to the other countries where the micro and the small enterprises are present. More than 72 million MSMEs exist over here. And I need to take a little bit of a stop and share that one of the biggest learnings we've felt is data there's a paucity of data. And without data, you cannot make digital underwriting decisions. So the first thing that we had to do as a SME financing platform is actually find where that data really exists and be able to tap onto it. And that takes time and effort. And what we found is that pretty much there are 2 key sources of data, which is transaction data, which is available through either bank statements or wallets and neobanks, as you call them, and also trade data. So we can work with SMEs like retailers that work with sub-dealers, sub-distributors, and so on and so forth. And these are the 2 pillars of truth that we actually use to help give that particular SME, especially when they're growing, this particular financing, which basically fulfills the gap. Now, the pain points are pretty much there for everybody. It's across the globe. The application for the loan can be complex. There could be collateral requirements. The product is usually a single offering, restrictive eligibility criteria. If there's something that doesn't fit the micro or the small enterprise, it just doesn't get through, right? I mean, and they wait for weeks and weeks, and the loan just isn't coming, and the project passes them through. And if they don't get it from a bank, typically the next source is loan sharks, which can be tremendously draining on the particular small enterprise's balance sheet. Most importantly, the experience. What we feel at Validus is, instead of reactive, we go for a proactive approach. So what that means is usually an SME applies and then is told yes or no. You're going to get the loan. This is how much you're going to get. This is the tenure. This is the interest rate. We do it the reverse way, where we partner with ecosystems. These could be traditional large enterprises down to the nth supply chain, or partnering with digital platforms like procurement or accounting, where we can, using these analytics, we can actually figure out when the SME is going to need the money. And before they know that they need it, an offer is there in the mailbox or on the app, and they can just click and say, yes, I'll accept it. And this sort of helps me tide over the cash flows that I need for this particular project. So we've actually come up with a product, apart from many other products that we offer, which is a 100% automated loan. It's 100% digital, from registration and profile completion to dispersal. Everything is within a day, and we have the capability now to disperse over $100,000 within 24 hours to micro and small enterprises. Obviously, the micro enterprises do not need $100,000. They'd probably need that 5 or 10 or 15,000. And then as you scale up, it can even go as high as 100,000 US. And the documents that we literally take are just 2 documents, which is, again, trade or transaction, based on the kind of amount that these particular SMEs are looking for. I'll spend a little bit of time on this because it's very important for us to understand that the data that we use in Southeast Asia is for 3 things: for origination, underwriting, and monitoring, because monitoring is as important. If it's a 6-month or a 12-month tenure product, things can change around really fast. And we just need to be very aware that the SME may need a little bit more time, or they want to prepay. So the analytics plays a huge role, and this is where data engineering and data analysis really plays a big part in SME financing. Of course, we do have bureau plugins, we do have traditional data, but I think, as I mentioned, at least for Southeast Asia and these 4 markets, the 2 pillars of truth are still trade data and transaction data. And transaction data is not that easy to come by, because in these 4 markets, there's really no open banking APIs available as far as right now in the present is concerned. We've seen a tangible impact on the SMEs. I mean, this is just Singapore numbers, and if we add all the 4 regions, the number is probably in millions. But we saw that the SMEs that were borrowing from us experienced an annualized revenue growth of 17%. And it increased the GDP contribution by about 18%. That's massive. We all know that SMEs employ between 80 to 90% of a country's workforce, especially in developing countries. And they contribute to about 50% of the GDP. Both are massive numbers. And if you start multiplying the direct and the indirect impact, we're talking about millions and millions of jobs that these particular SMEs support. So that's exactly sort of where we was, where the mission of Validus lies, is sort of bridging the income inequality gap in these particular countries where we kind of understand pretty much how the data supports these growing MSMEs. And this is why we're actually launching the neobanking, because there is a bit of opacity when it comes to open banking, and transactions are not very clear, and then it's difficult for us to be dynamic and proactive. So with the particular wallet that we're just launching in Singapore next month, we're able to, of course, offer them all the features, right? So best-in-class FX, transactions across the region, all of that. But the key is that we're also giving them lending. And this kind of fits into this beautiful infinite loop that as the SMEs come in and experience this particular banking product or neobanking product, and they get these particular lending opportunities where they can borrow maybe $10,000 or $30,000 for 7 days, 15 days, 2 months. And as they prepay or as they pay off the loans, we continue to get more and more data. So it's a very nice self-fulfilling mechanism where we're able to support the SME through their journey from micro to small to hopefully becoming a medium-sized enterprise in itself. This is the bit where we're quite excited because as most neobanks do, we can support banking and payments, accounting, expenses, payroll. But I think the key is lending. And this is where we actually started off as a digital lending platform and are moving now to cover the entire spectrum. And in summary, trying to become like a digital CFO for these SMEs who really can't afford, having a chief financial officer, when they're literally a 3-person shop or even a 100-person organization. It's a bit difficult for them, which is why I think, as most of the panelists have shared, It's all about going digital, and it's all about being able to predict what is it that the micro and small enterprises need at this particular time, especially as we emerge out of COVID. Most of these economies are looking, pretty healthy, at least for the year coming ahead, and this is when they need the most support. So, on that note, thank you very much again for this opportunity, guys, and look forward to more interactions with EFMA.
Thank you so much, for being with us today. Very insightful, presentation, especially on from Validus. So, however, for your institution, the last 2 years, especially 2020, 21, have you seen any major impact on probably the interest or the requests coming from your clients for the loans or for other products?
Absolutely, Lucas. I think if you look at the last 3 or 4 years, we dispersed close to, I guess, maybe $1 billion. But this year itself is that request is doubling. So we're looking at another $1 billion this year. The transactions have gone 3x. SMEs are more comfortable digitally, as Amit has shared, as Simone has shared. I think everybody is now forced to look digital, and we've seen this massive inflow of requests come in, because as these economies emerge, everybody is looking at new projects, and the moment you look at new projects, you need a little bit of support over there to really tide over that non-cash flow period. So very exciting times, and you're absolutely right. I think things are looking good as far as SMEs are concerned now.
Happy to hear that, because that's actually the most important, to have institutions that are always ready to support the economy when it's needed. Thank you so much, Vikas. Looking forward to have you as well, as Validus, involved in our further initiatives. Now, thank you. Now let's go to the second category as the highlight, as the second highlight of this online ceremony, which is the SME Bank of the Year, and going straight to the nominees, which were this year the following 8 institutions made it actually to the top list: CIMB Bank Malaysia, HSBC UK to be precise, HSBC Kinetic, Turkey İş Bank or İş Bank Turkey, as many of you might know them, Mauritius Commercial Bank from Mauritius, RAK Bank United Arab Emirates, Standard Bank as a whole group, or based in South Africa, Tatra Banka from Slovakia, and Union Bank of the Philippines. And now, without any further ado, let's go to the Bronze Award winner of the 2021 SME Bank of the Year. And the Bronze Award winner in this category is HSBC Kinetic. And congrats firstly to HSBC. And we are supposed to have Kartik Arya on the call with us, Head of Business Operations right now at HSBC Kinetic. So Kartik, congrats. We are very thrilled actually to have HSBC among us, and among the nominees, among the winners. Anything you want to share on behalf of your institution?
Thank you so much. I'm delighted to accept this award on behalf of the entire HSBC Kinetic team, and just wanted to thank you, EFMA, for recognizing HSBC Kinetic and obviously the work you're doing for SME banking across the world. And a hearty congratulations to all the nominees and winners today. I think it's an honor to be recognized and stand on this virtual podium today alongside the other highly regarded finalists. I think all of us, agree that we all share a common purpose, supporting small businesses around the world to help them grow. Just a bit about the Kinetic app itself. So we've had a lot of firsts on the Kinetic app, whether it's faster applications, straight through processing on onboarding journeys. These are all useful, for offering customers access to products and services that help them on a daily basis. At HSBC, we obviously are very committed to helping businesses innovate and grow. And I'm proud that, getting this award recognizes what we have achieved so far and how we are redefining small business banking for our customers. So thank you so much.
Kartik, actually, to the wonderful awards here. A quick question, if I may only ask. So, how many markets are you right now present with the project HSBC Kinetic, or I mean, with the separate sub-brand dedicated to SMEs?
So HSBC Kinetic was launched in 2020 only in the UK, and currently we are only present in the UK. Obviously, we've got strategic plans to potentially look at taking this international as well.
Very good. So looking forward, hopefully, to have you very soon in many different markets across the globe, because I'm sure having probably the support that you can have from the group perspective might actually give you the wings to enter different other markets for the SMEs. Congrats once again to HSBC Kinetic. Kartik, so thank you so much for having you with us.
Thank you.
Let's go to the Silver Award winner. Again, in the SME Bank of the Year category. And the Silver Award for 2021 goes to Standard Bank Group, South Africa. Obviously, this is a group achievement, so not just in South Africa, but I'm used to still because we are always having our guest speakers and people involved directly from South Africa. So let me introduce William Blackie, who is a Business and Commercial Clients Group CEO, who joined us to receive this virtual award on behalf of the group. William, very pleased to have you. Anything you want to share on behalf of the group?
Lucas, thank you. Well, firstly, thank you for the opportunity to participate in these awards and to make the submissions. Of course, thank you to your team for taking the time to pull all this together and assess what is such a critical segment in the market. As we've spoken about before, Standard Bank's vision and mission is that Africa's our home, we drive our growth. And winning, as Vikash was talking about a few minutes ago, winning in the SME segment is fundamental to driving growth in these economies. So we're extremely excited, not only with the work that we're doing, and congratulations to the team that's involved, but also in the success that we're having in the markets in which we operate. So thank you so much.
Yeah, congrats once again. William, probably quick question. How is it, to operate in many different markets with many different realities and, maturity level to the SMEs that you have there? Because obviously, this is a group achievement, a group award. So how you can achieve it, in a wider market as Africa is, where Standard Bank is present in many countries?
Yeah, you've hit the nail on the head with the complexity of our business, is that you range from very sophisticated, in our markets, we range from very, very sophisticated, very deep markets to actually very unsophisticated markets that are really just emerging in the use of local currency. And so being able to stitch that together across those markets is actually the complexity that the team need to pull together. And I must say I'm extremely proud with what the team have managed to achieve in this.
So William, once again, congrats. You will receive, the trophy actually to your hands afterwards, after the event. But at least right now, the virtual congrats, and happy to have you with us today.
Thank you so much, Lucas, and thank you to you and your team.
Thank you. Now let's go to the Gold Award winner in the SME Bank category. So without any further ado, the Gold winner is Union Bank of the Philippines. So congrats. And we have JP Soliman, who is the VP SME and Micropreneurs SME segment head of Union Bank of the Philippines. JP, welcome and congrats.
Thank you, Lucas. This is awesome. It's very, very awesome. Well, we at Union Bank, together with all the MSMEs in our community, we sincerely thank EFMA and the EFMA family. Of course, this year's jury members for this very prestigious award. We thank all those who have voted for the nominees and believes in our programs and progress. We congratulate the winners of this award, our 3 SME bankers. You're all very awesome, and we wish more power and strength to all. We are here now, honored and very humbled, accepting this on behalf of every Union banker who tirelessly works on advancing technology, ecosystem solutions, and innovations for the betterment of each and every business owner. Our approach has been multi-pronged, and our approach on banking SME ecosystems has proven to be very effective. Technology, innovations, iterations, night night times when we co-create with the SMEs, it has proven that we are really helping business owners and SMEs in the country. Business banking is now the fastest growing unit in our bank, both from a customer acquisition perspective and even on a strategy and brand perspective. And it's a huge, huge thanks to all the developers, all the SME bankers out there, and even competitors, as they call them, competitions who are now collaborating with us. Thank you to all the fintechs who have given us the valuable insights on how to really create best in class customer experience for our customers. Now, as we move forward in the future of business banking, we have committed ourselves in ensuring that our customers are provided with the most relevant financial and business services, as well as cutting edge customer experience to support and even be catalysts for their growth, not just for their business, but advancements in their communities that they serve. Again, thank you. Thank you very much, EFMA. From all of us union bankers, from our management and from our board of directors, we really are very, very much thankful for this award and this distinction that you have given us. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I can congratulate. Really, actually, well deserved. JP for winning actually the gold winner here in the bank SME bank category. But what I wanted to mention, please don't take this as EFMA award, and this is probably just to know as well to everyone. We are proud to say that each of the awards that we organize are not being decided by EFMA itself. We believe that we are an association of the bankers that gives the power to the community to decide about who deserves to be the winner. So the credibility that we are trying actually to give to the award, and probably the credibility that right now you can proudly say you are a bronze, silver, or the gold winner in this category, has been decided by your peers, by the peers that are working same hours as you, supporting the same purpose for the SMEs as your bank, and they can recognize the projects, they can recognize the effort that not just Union Bank of Philippines but all the nominees and all the winners has done in the SME banking.
Thank you so much.
So congrats once again. So these were the three winners in the SME Bank of the Year 2021 category. And as I mentioned, a minute ago, it's been, these whole awards were decided by the community of the bankers. We received, as been mentioned, 6,000 online votes, which comes from a banking community, because each and every individual who casted the votes for the award has to somehow, be connected to our online platform through efma.com. And that's why, we can very easily recognize that those people are the bankers who were voting for the nominees in both categories. The second part, obviously, and the second wave of the decision was on the shoulders of our jury committee. And that's why we have actually approached three of our experts who were in the jury panel to share some of their insights and the impression of 2021 awards. So let me welcome with me today Nika Kurdiani, Deputy CEO of TBC Bank Georgia, Helen Panzarino, Associate Director, Center for Digital Banking and Finance from London Institute of Banking and Finance, and Ken Burke, Non-Executive Director, SME Banking Chairman, and Expert Advisor, and a long-term Chairman of our SME community, actually globally. So welcome, three of you. Happy to have you. Very much engaged, very often in different initiatives. So let's go straight to the point. I have probably a quick question, or a couple of questions actually to you. You had the chance to look, at the nominees, at the profiles, at the videos, and as well listen to the recordings. If you can share, one by one, probably we can start with Helen. Couple of the projects, some of the highlights, or anything, that you would like to mention from this year applications, from this year nominees, and even from the winners that we have just seen until now. Helen.
Thank you very much, Lucas, and congratulations to everybody, individuals and banks. It was very difficult because there was a lot of good that came out of this year's group. Without being specific about any individual or a bank, what really struck me was that in a very difficult time, i.e. COVID, when, yes, we're trying to up the digital access to lending, to using data better, to having access by mobile, what really struck me was that the platforms and marketplaces and using data in that regard still managed to make their appearance and really work for the SMEs themselves and the SME communities. That's no small ask when you're trying to just keep everybody's head above water. So that was really impressive, and that was through a number of the nominees. The other thing that struck me was education and recognition of SMEs, helping them to be better customers, but also rewarding them at a very difficult time. So these two separate things, whether they're gig workers, MSMEs, or SMEs, really struck me.
In particular, if you have a look, at the winners profile, they are rather, coming from the, let's say, not the first choice countries, as you would say, UK or US, as someone would predict, or Singapore. What was your perception, especially about those institutions, those individuals, especially coming from South Africa, from Philippines, and from any other geographies that we had, even the nominees from Slovakia, Tatra Banka, and many others?
It's always difficult, isn't it, when you have a very diverse customer base as well, who use cash a lot, or who may not have actually fully got onto mobile for their banking. But there was that shift. And I like some of the mentions of high tech, high touch. It wasn't without the human touch in some of these things. But mobile first actually came to the fore. And I think there was an understanding of the different types of customer base. And so the products and services were tailored for them. And again, difficult for the companies, but also very challenging for all the people, the staff and the teams that are working on this. So well done to everybody there. And in areas like trade finance, where we know that SMEs often get cut out of this is one area where the data really came to the fore as well.
Nika, same questions to you. First impressions, any of the projects, any highlights of 2021?
Yeah, I think the first thing, Helen mentioned many things, so I'll try not to repeat. But for me, what really struck, if you look at the trend, so to say, of the topics and discussion points, right, which we had, and I'm engaged with EFMA for many years now, and which we had all over the time within our SME Council and all the platforms EFMA runs, well, they were less digital. And now this is all about digital, and this is all about platforms, and it's all about customer experience, user experience, mobile first, as Helen mentioned. So this was amazing to see and to hear, because I clearly remember times when we were struggling to put these topics into SME discussion. And this is very inspiring and very promising. And definitely, even the presentation today of one of the presenters was talking about lending digitally up to 100,000, right, in an instant way to micro customers. So all this becomes really a common thing, and it is good to see the spread of all the technology approaches all over the world. Now, talking about all over the world, I think it is also fantastic to see the span of competition or participation or co-petition, as it was said, of participants from Philippines to Malaysia to South Africa to Georgia, where I'm talking now from, going to Slovakia, or Ireland, where Ken is now, right? So I think, I guess Ken is now in Ireland. I don't know exactly, but definitely he works there. So that's why I think this is also very cool. And not to mention one single candidate, I think the whole span and the scale of the exercise was impressive this year, especially.
Probably, quick question, because you are still in the shoes, of banker that can apply some of the probably outstanding projects. Was there, something that you're considering, to take forward, either in Georgia or even, in your latest expansion, a very successful one in Uzbekistan?
Yeah, I mean, we will definitely be leveraging on the neo-banking initiatives and the fully digital banking initiatives in Uzbekistan. And this is something still to come in our case. Yes, definitely, we are doing lots of processes digitally, fully digitally. 95% of all SME transactions at TBC Bank are done through digital channels. So there is almost nothing left in the branch. However, this is done through our mobile front end. And now what we are thinking to do is to set up a fully digital neobank, meaning a separate institution for SMEs run through mobile. So this is something still to come. We did it for private individuals. This is how we entered the Uzbekistan market. But for SMEs, this is still to come. And this is, I think, what we will be leveraging on.
Thank you so much. Ken, some of probably your feelings, especially because you're right now finally in an objective position to have a look at different organizations. You've been for many years engaged with AIB from the very beginning of our initiative, similarly as Nika that we were doing in SME. How you can evaluate probably some of the projects, individuals, banks that were nominated this year for the awards?
Well, thanks, Lucas. I'd like to think I've always been objective, but just to say, and I suppose standing back and put a sort of an SME council flavor on it too. Some of the things that we've been talking about in the SME community and the SME council, and we've acknowledged that different banks have been at different stages of iteration and transition, and different stages of pace of change, and digital is important, but physical is still very important. And we've talked about this, and there's been a lot of peer-to-peer learning and sharing, and then COVID happens, and we used the phrase 10 years change in 10 months, and literally we didn't know that it would actually be 24 years change in 24 months, because that's effectively what banks have been dealing with, and when you think about what's been achieved, delivering on COVID support for customers, partnering with governments, dealing with the credit risk challenges of an unprecedented global and economic meltdown, and keeping BAU agendas and accelerating customer solutions. That's the theme. That's what every bank and all of our nominees have been doing. And I want to congratulate all of the individual nominees and all of the bank nominees, because they've been performing spectacularly. And in a number of other associations I'm members of and involved in other groups, I'm talking a lot to SMEs. And I don't need to read NPS scores to know that the customer experience has been transformed through this pandemic in terms of what customers are experiencing from their SME bank. So the things that we thought were difficult, and you see it coming through here, customer account opening, 67% of accounts opened in 20 minutes, 97% opened in 48 hours, digital check deposits, mobile check deposits, SME app opening accounts in 5 minutes. They're things that were just, there were sales pitches by various companies at different points in time, and now they're being delivered and they're being achieved. And the themes coming through from the individual nominees, to hear people be passionate around being strong on purpose, being strong on values, to hear things like sustainability is now a hygiene factor, and that you need to climate proof your own business as well as being able to support your SMEs and climate proof their business. Providing back office integrations with Sage, Zero accounting packages. These were things that really helped during the pandemic when face-to-face wasn't allowed and customers needed to be able to find ways of doing their business. So I think it's been really transformational. I really enjoyed reading all the nominations. I really enjoyed unpicking them, and loads of common themes, but different banks and different people at different stages in that journey. But it's that convergence between the customer experience that we're seeing now. Typically personal customers, you have high NPS scores. They like the digital apps, they like mobile, and they're very comfortable with that. And they kind of were saying, well, I wish my bank would do the same for me, but I live with them because I'm with them. Now they're getting that experience, and that's being delivered. And I think that's really, really, it's fantastic. And to see the passion and the purpose that's come through, I think is a credit to all of the winners. And we could have had any number of names up there in the 1, 2s, and 3s. I think the spread of membership across the globe, FMS membership now is bringing different things to these awards in terms of enjoying the fruits of different experiences and different regulatory environments where maybe the pace of change can be a little bit accelerated. But I think it's been a fantastic awards process and ceremony, and well done everybody, and well done FMA for organising it.
Thank you so much, Ken, for sharing. Probably one last question, to all three of you. Obviously we have right now some of the trendsetters that we can call them, the winners in both categories, as well the nominees that made it, to the list, but as well some other institutions who we believe in different markets, are the leaders in the SME segment. So all the other institutions, have an inspiration to look for. We believe as well, that the community itself actually can bring, the knowledge by sharing examples and so on. But where you would suggest to find an inspiration for those leaders who have a feeling that they cannot, find that much of a breakthrough ideas already in the banking sector. Where to go? Where to find, the next inspiration? What's the next big thing to apply in the SME banking? Whoever wants to start.
Helen?
I'll jump in. Ladies first, exactly right. Yeah. Thanks, Nika. There's one thing that strikes me as I look around the world at what's happening in SMEs and on the digital side. If you look in the US, for example, where we have a lot of the community developing, whether it's immigrants from certain parts of the world, or it's the LGBTQ community, or it's the African American community, we're starting to see that really carving out into very niche areas. Simultaneously, we're seeing this sort of hovering in the background of the quote unquote super app growing out of this marketplace. And that's partly being entered by the fintechs and partly by big tech. These two things strike me. I think that the community side of it will have its, 2-3 year run its course, see how it's going to go, and it will travel around the world, because some of these market shares are quite large. They're not so niche. But that means that the bank behind them most of the time is a bank of record, or it's a bank that's spun out in a parent-child relationship. So I think it's something still to watch for a while. But this other sort of over here elephant in the room, this super app discussion and the role of big tech, I think banks actually can step up and be a provider of my lifestyle solutions. They're not just financial solutions. They're not just financial products, but they're linked, as we've seen, the nascence and the emergence of these marketplaces can continue to grow.
Yeah, I would maybe add, just to build on what Helen just said. Definitely, the super app discussion is all over the place now, like it was possibly the word ecosystems, right? Some years ago. I think where to find the inspiration is definitely not in the banking world, because basically the banking world is now trying to redefine or reshape itself massively all over the place. And what we see is that the embedded financial services are challenging the banking world, because at the end of the day, the end consumer understood that it doesn't really have to go to a banking app or banking branch or a bank to get the financial service it needs. So basically, you can get it right away at the platform. Would it be a marketplace? Would it be whichever ecosystem? So I would try, from SME banking perspective too, to understand, how other players may be selling banking products through their own platforms and channels. Yes, behind that, of course, is a bank which embeds the service, because the supermarkets or platforms or, e-commerce websites will never be banks. They will never go for a license because they are different animals. However, they will embed these services into their own self. And this is where to try to understand the new use cases, the new insights of using the banking products wherever they are really needed, and not us being the pushers of the banking products into the customer hands, And I think this is the biggest redefinition which is happening really at the moment in the world.
Ken?
Yeah, I think just to square the circle on that, banks operating as banks, or banks operating as consumer or customer-centric organizations, is something that we've been talking about and wrestling with for a long time. And it's very easy to put up the world-leading brands that are here now that weren't there 15 years ago, and you could do the same with banks, and the banks that will or won't be around. So that reinvention of a traditional organization as a digitally enabled consumer partner to SMEs, consumer deliverer, enabler, be that a conduit to marketplaces for SMEs, a conduit for payment solutions, being frictionless. And I think any bank that continues to try to do that from just within its own capability, is putting themselves on a path to failure. It's to think agile, and we spent a lot of time talking about fintechs and the competitive set that exists within fintechs. And rather than fearing it, embracing that and embracing what can be delivered, be they through sandbox developments, through partnerships, through joint ventures, through outsourcing, whatever, and looking at your business model through a different lens. And yes, we all have traditional things that you have to deal with in traditional back office and legacy issues and different regulatory environments, but looking at it in a customer and a can-do environment. And I think that's where the success has to come from. And it's a mindset piece that has to live within culture and purpose in the DNA of an organization.
Thank you very much to all three of you for your overall support, for contribution, for the time that you dedicated, not just this year, but within the last couple of years, into all the activities that we've done. So those were the selection of our jury members that we had for 2021 awards. Obviously, there were many other faces representing all the other geographies. But thank you to three of you that made the time as well today to share some of your insights.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Well, it's been a pleasure.
Pleasure.
Good. So before we call it a wrap, let's give a very short summary of what we believe might be the next steps. As been mentioned already a couple of times, we are running SME banking community globally for already 2 years. We have engaged more than 140 bankers, SME banking heads, usually globally from different institutions. As you see, the coverage is pretty much global. We have engaged Royal Bank of Canada, Bradesco Brazil, Vale do Singapore, as we mentioned, Standard Chartered Singapore, Union Bank of Philippines, Standard Bank South Africa. So we try to be global and have the engagement of the institutions all over the places. This is the timeline on both of the key initiatives we do. On the top of the timeline, you see a couple of the events that we are planning to do about some wonderful topics, especially on how to serve and how to approach hidden SMEs in a mass market portfolio. Those that are really really hard to find. We'll dedicate some time to the SME lending and how it all transformed. We'll have big discussions on the recovery plans and the role of beyond banking offerings here. And obviously, we'll try to touch as well the topics around women entrepreneurs and probably the different ways of how to serve them. And the last but not least to mention, in June, we are planning finally to have a physical gathering and a physical event that will be supported by the overall brand relaunch of EFMA, most probably in Milan, in Italy. You will receive all those information very soon. Before that, actually, the next slide can just very easily show you and give you a picture of how the community works. We try to create a global space for SME bankers who can share the ideas, exchange best practices, stay connected, to the network itself, and at the same time, have anytime a question, get back to us, either to me or Dorota as well, to ask a question, whether we are able, to find you a counterpart, to matchmake, with the institution, or really just to find, an exact insights that you're looking for on how to develop and how to find, an inspiration for you. Last but not least, only to mention how exactly does it work and how you join. It's open to anyone. This is the most important to mention. And right now on the last slide, you can see that through EFMA website, when you go on the communities, when you just, have a look at what type of topics we have covered, you open the SME banking, you see what we do. You have the join button. It's super easy actually to do it at the moment. We are revamping right now the experience, making it digital and trying, to offer the personalized type of connection. So we hope that communities will be the thing in the future. They are already becoming one, because from what I remember, Ken mentioned that, and as well Nika mentioned that. We started small with a small council meetings of 20-25 individuals. Imagine right now you have a place with 140 of your peers across the globe to learn from, to get the inspiration, to get the insights, get the connection on what you need on a different topics, even on a daily basis. So we look forward to have you engaged. It's open to anyone. It's free, because we have right now, open it as well to non-members of EFMA. And after June, then we'll be deciding about, what will be the permission for non-members to still access and enjoy everything what's happening inside. Good. That's been all actually from our side, using some time as well for marketing purposes, because we believe that we can be strong with whatever we deliver only with all of you, with all the institutions, with all the individuals that are capable of sharing their best stories, their best practices. Thanks again, to all the nominees, who found the time, to submit their projects and their even individual performance to these year awards. Thanks to jury members and all the online voters to help us decide who the winners are. We don't want to be in a position to know and to decide about the winners. We want to give the voice to the community. And we look forward to having you engaged in all our initiatives in 2022. Wish you a great day and enjoy all deserved winnings that you had for this year. Wish you a wonderful day.